Dawn broke slowly over the valley of Badr. The air was still. The desert, which had witnessed centuries of forgotten tribal clashes, now held its breath. Between two low ridges stood a small group of believers, tired, lightly armed, and vastly outnumbered, facing the most powerful force Quraysh could assemble. This was not merely a battlefield, it was a threshold. The Qur'an would later name this moment Yawm al-Furqan, the day of criterion, the day when truth and falsehood would no longer walk side by side. Badr was known for its wells. Whoever controlled the water controlled the field. When the Prophet Muhammad, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, arrived near the valley, he paused. Ibn Ishaq records that a companion, al-Hubab ibn al-Mundhir, approached respectfully and asked a critical question. Is this a place Allah has commanded us to stop, or is it strategy? When the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, replied that it was strategy, al-Hubab advised moving closer to the wells, securing them, and denying Quraysh access to water. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, immediately accepted the advice. This moment is essential to understand Islamic leadership. Revelation guided the mission. Human expertise guided execution. Faith and reason stood together. As the Muslims settled into position, the Ansar proposed building a shelter arish for the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, a command post from which he could oversee the field. Sa'd ibn Mu'adh stood guard. This was not separation from danger, it was organization, ensuring leadership continuity if the worst occurred. Ibn Sa'd narrates that while the companions prepared weapons and lines, the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, withdrew briefly into the shelter, not to rest, but to pray. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, raised his hands toward the sky. His supplication was intense, prolonged, and heavy with responsibility. O Allah, fulfill what you have promised me. If this small group is destroyed, you will not be worshipped on this earth. This was not fear of death, it was fear for the future of the message. Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, stood beside him, calming him, reminding him of Allah's promise. Ibn Kathir records that the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, prayed until his cloak fell from his shoulders. Then came Allah's response. The believers were overtaken by sleep, a sign of tranquility in the face of fear. Rain descended, firming the sandy ground beneath the Muslims, turning Quraysh's position muddy and unstable. The Qur'an later explained this moment precisely in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 11. When he covered you with drowsiness, as security from him, and sent down rain from the sky to purify you, to remove from you the whispering of shaitan, to strengthen your hearts, and to make firm your feet. This verse is not metaphorical. It is battlefield psychology. Fear neutralized, morale strengthened, footing secured. On the opposite side, Quraysh approached with confidence. They were 3 times the number fully armored. Mounted on horses, Abu Jahl walked among them, boasting, convinced that sheer force would end Islam forever. Ibn Kathir notes that Quraysh marched not only with weapons, but with pride. They did not seek peace, they sought spectacle. As the two sides closed in, Allah intervened in a subtle yet decisive way. The Qur'an reveals in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 43, He showed them to you as few in your dream, and had He shown them to you as many, you would have lost courage. This verse shows Allah managing perception itself. The believers were spared panic. Quraysh underestimated the resolve before them. Both marched forward, unaware of how deeply destiny had already been written. Before full engagement, Arab custom demanded single combat. From Quraysh stepped forward Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, Shaybah ibn Rabi'ah, Walid ibn Utbah, 3 men of status, veterans, symbols of Makkah's pride. At first, young Ansar stepped forward, but Quraysh demanded equals from their own tribe. Then emerged Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Ubaidah ibn al-Harith ibn Ishaq narrates the duel carefully. Hamza struck down Shaybah. Ali struck down Walid. Ubaidah was wounded, but survived as Hamza and Ali finished his opponent. The battlefield had spoken. The Qurayshi champions had fallen. The Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, straightened the lines. He reminded the believers of Jannah, of patience, and of discipline. He commanded them not to advance until ordered. Then, holding a handful of dust, he threw it toward the enemy and said, "May their faces be disfigured." The Qur'an later clarified in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 17, "It was not you who threw when you threw, but Allah threw." This moment is critical. Action occurred, but its effect was from Allah. When the command was given, the believers advanced. No wild charge, no disorder. Ibn Sa'd records that the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, commanded for close combat only, no pursuit beyond lines, and no killing of captives. This was warfare with ethics, unheard of in Arabia. Swords clashed, dust rose, cries echoed, and then something unseen occurred. The Qur'an states clearly in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 12, "When your Lord revealed to the angels, 'I am with you, so strengthen those who believe.'" The companions later reported, enemies falling without clear cause. Hearing strikes not from human hands, but the Qur'an never describes angels theatrically. Why? Because the lesson was support, not spectacle. Victory belongs to Allah alone. Among the believers stood Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Sahih al-Bukhari records that he shot the first arrow in Islam during Badr, not in rage, not in chaos, but in defense of faith. This detail matters. Islam did not begin violence, it responded to aggression. As Quraysh advanced, they found something unexpected: discipline instead of fear, unity instead of panic, faith instead of doubt. Allah says in Surah Al-Anfal, verse 9, "Allah will assist you with 1,000 angels, one after another." By midday, Quraysh's lines wavered. What had begun as arrogance turned into confusion. The sun climbed higher. The valley echoed with the sounds of a battle unlike any Arabia had known. But the outcome was not yet sealed. In the next episode, the field will be decided. Leaders will fall, prisoners will be taken, and Arabia will awaken to a new reality. Fade to black.